Why do you break down? Why do you have periods of productivity that are then followed by falling apart, getting into an unproductive, depressive space? Because the human race has no idea how to deal with their emotions. They're great at dealing with lots of other things, but the human species as a whole has done a very poor job at understanding themselves and how they work and how to deal with it. So in this video, and then in the next video that follows this, we're going to detail why it's this way and why you fall apart. And then in the next video, we're going to talk about what can you do? What kind of survival toolkit, what kind of triple A kind of service can you do to deal with your emotions when they come up? So to start, you're living your life, you're doing okay, you're trying to achieve certain things in your life, and you're doing good for a while, and then you kind of fall apart and you get into this dysfunctional space. Okay, now this is normal and predictable, but we all live our lives like it's not. We live our lives like this doesn't happen all the time, but it does, and we keep coming back to the same place. So I was working with a client today, and they're pretty successful, but they have lots of periods where they fall apart. And what I said to them is like, look, you probably have AAA for your car, so that when you have car trouble, you know who to call and you know what to do. Right. But when you have emotional problems, what is your solution for that? How do you deal with that? And she said, well, I reach out and call people, but I feel like I'm coming to the end of being able to call people. Like I've used up all my credits. Right. And this is her like, how do I get out of this place? She has no real idea how to deal with these emotional breakdowns when they come, and they come fairly often. And so the first thing is, you have to expect them to come and stop pretending that they're not going to come. That's the first thing. You have to be honest with yourself that these things show up pretty consistently and take you out. So what I was saying to her about building a toolkit to handle these problems when they come up is, first you have to recognize the problem. And so we were talking with her, and her issue was she has these very like lofty ideals about how to live her life. And then even though she's fairly successful, she doesn't meet them enough in her own mind, and she feels like a failure. Okay, so I said, okay, that's it. So you feel like a failure. So something happens in your life and you feel like a failure, despite the fact that overall you're doing very well. It doesn't matter. You feel like a failure. This feeling comes on and it's very strong and it takes you out. You may be experiencing the same kind of thing. You may shift into this thing, even though you've accomplished a lot, you feel like you haven't done enough. Or yours may have a slightly different flavor. It doesn't matter. At some point, this catches up with you and it takes you out. So the first thing to realize is that this is not situational. So if we keep using our car analogy, like your car may break down in the woods, it may break down in the desert, and it may break down, by the ocean. It wasn't caused by being in the forest or being by the ocean or being in the desert. That's not what caused it. There was a systemic failure in the car that we want to see, like, what is it and where does it come from? Nobody has car trouble, right? And takes it to the auto mechanic, and the auto mechanic is about to tell them what the problem is, and they go, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know. But with our emotions, we do that. We get past it. We get into this new framework. We're going to say, okay, this time it's going to be different. And it never is, because we always end up in the same place. So the first thing we have to do is realize, one, be honest with ourselves that this does keep happening. It's a repetitive thing. So that what that means is there's something broken inside of us. And so I said, we need to name this breakdown. And so we're going to name your breakdown, I'm a failure. Okay? And you can name yours however you want. But this I'm a failure comes up for her in a wide variety of circumstances. But it's not the circumstances that cause it, that trigger this feeling. It's she has this mechanism inside her that believes, despite what she does or whatever she accomplishes, that she's a failure. This is a problem that is not going away. This is a problem that's going to be with her for the rest of her life until she diagnoses it. It's like if you have a faulty carburetor on your car, right? You can't just say, okay, well, I'm going to drive more carefully, or you come up with a plan. You've got to see what the real problem is. The problem is in the carburetor, and you've got to deal with that problem. And the same thing here. You have to deal with the thing that is blocking you. You have to get down to it and find out what it is. Now, invariably, what you're going to find with all of the things that are troubling you today is that they are a function of your past. They are some message, some idea from the past that is intruding now, right? And taking over your life. That's just how it is. And so the way out of this is to start to pay attention to that, right? Start to pay attention to that sense of I'm a failure and start to work with it. And in my one-on-one coaching and in my free online community called Unblock Your Brilliance, that's what we do. We figure out, okay, you're trying to achieve this and you're stuck and you're blocked and you can't get there. So what is it that is intruding from the past that is blocking it? There's some message, despite the good work that you're doing, despite the efforts that you've made, there's some self-sabotage happening inside of here. All right. And so we need to get down to what that is. There's some part of you that is not okay with you being successful. You're maybe much more comfortable in the I'm a failure. She certainly is. She's certainly more comfortable in the I'm a failure kind of place because she keeps returning to it. And we need to find out why she keeps returning to it. So as we were talking, we realized let's say you were going to send a spacecraft into space and it goes up and then it crashes, it breaks down, whatever. They write 250-page manuals about why that failure occurred. Do we do anything like that for ourselves? We're fairly simple, and yet we're complicated enough where we need to find out why that's how did that happen? And we need to see how and why it happened, right? And so maybe you need help to get down to that, or maybe you can see for yourself. It's totally up to you. Generally, I found I can sit across from somebody and in 5 or 6 minutes, I can tell them where their major block in their life is coming from. Because once you understand these principles, it's actually really not hard to see what is happening with someone. So somewhere in life, and it was probably, it was almost certainly with her parents, she felt like, I'm failing here. I'm not living up to, or I'm not doing as good as I'm supposed to. And that feeling was baked into her at this early age. And now she keeps repeating that pattern. Even though all that hard work that she's doing is paying off and she's becoming more successful, she always feels like a failure. And she's not getting out of that unless she goes down to the bottom, the root of the problem. And then also in the aerospace industry, there's this idea of the root cause. So they do this for spaceships. They understand that there's a root cause of why this failure happened. But for human beings, we don't get down to the root cause of why this happened. We get over the emotions and then we try to move forward toward our goals. And we don't spend any time writing the manual, learning more about why this happened. We just go on blindly, continue doing the same thing, hoping that it's not going to happen again. Guess what? It's going to happen again. You're going to reach the same point of failure because the system's broken. Now understand, you are not broken. That's the whole point of my online community is there's nothing wrong with you. But you do have a mechanism inside of you that tells you there's something wrong with you, that breaks down, that says you're not good enough, etc. And that's our job, to diagnose that, see that, and then work through that. Okay? So, if any of this makes sense, we're going to talk more specifically about how to do that in the next video. But if any of this makes sense, go down to the link below and just book a one-on-one consultation with me. It's free, and I guarantee we can take the 5 or 6 minute challenge. If in 5 or 6 minutes I can't tell you what your core wound is and how it's stopping you from success today, I'll give you all your money back. It's free anyway, right? And then come and check out our Unblock Your Brilliance community. We have so many free courses in there and 5-day challenges, from building successful habits to finding out what your blocks are, to awakening your intuition, to finding your purpose in life. So check go check all that stuff out. It's all down there in the description. And please, while you're down there, like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more of these videos. And go to the next one, go to the next video, and we'll dig down a little bit deeper into how do you start to deal with and develop your strategies and your plans for when you do break down, because it's coming, because the system is broken. And so when we deal with the system and we fix the system, then you can drive with pleasure and guilt-free and have fun and don't have to worry about it, because you know that the car, in this case you, right, are sound and whole and true. Okay, take care.